viewers, welcome to the Editorial Analysis by Drishti IAS. In this section, we regularly take editorials from various newspapers and news portals for a better understanding of the various issues happening in India and around the globe. In this section, we first try to link the editorial with our UPSC syllabus. Then we go analytical in order to understand some key points and at last some important concepts. Dear viewers, we truly hope that you like this initiative taken by Dristhi IAS and your feedbacks are important for us. So kindly feel free to give your important feedbacks in the comment section. So without any further delay, let's commence our session.
Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
Today's editorial is taken from Indian Express, published on 12th of October 2020. The title of today's editorial is Talking Peace. In this editorial, we will talk about how India is an important link in the ongoing peace process in Afghanistan, and also Delhi needs to define its role in this time of transition. If we try to link the editorial with our UPSC syllabus, we can link it with GS paper 2, which has polity, constitution, governance, international relations, etc. Some key points of today's editorial. Abdullah Abdullah, who is the chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation in Afghanistan, HCNR, he paid a visit to Delhi last week. The purpose of his visit was to build a regional consensus for the Afghan talks in Doha between the Taliban and the representatives of the Afghan government, civil society and others. Now it should be noted that India has very old ties with Afghanistan, and also India has got a deep strategic interest in Afghanistan. So, because of these situations, India becomes a very important link in these peace talks. And now it is Delhi who has to decide that what steps and how carefully those steps are to be taken. Now, before we move ahead, it is quite important for us to just see what exactly has been the background of Taliban and all the initiatives that have been taken in between. So we'll start with Taliban. Now, Taliban refer itself as an Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. Taliban emerged in the year 1994 and it grew because it took advantage of the power vacuum that was present in Afghanistan at that point of time because of the Afghan civil war. The leader of the Taliban was Muhammad Omar. In Taliban, a militant organization named Al-Qaeda, they made their base in Afghanistan and their leader was Osama bin Laden. So in 1998, Al-Qaeda took the responsibility of attacks on the American embassy, and in 9/11, Al-Qaeda took the responsibility of the plane hijacking and the attacks that were made over America. After these attacks, George W. Bush, the president of United States of America at that point of time, requested the Taliban leadership to hand over Osama bin Laden, but Talibani leadership, they refused this proposal made by George W. Bush. As a result, on 7th October 2001, United States of America, along with the NATO forces, launched an invasion on Afghanistan, codenamed Operation Enduring Freedom. Now, when in 2001, United States of America launched its all-out attack on Afghanistan, they got support from a local leadership named as the Northern Alliance. However, this entire matter, this entire invasion, it actually got derailed because US shifted its focus towards Iraq from 2003 onwards. Now, because this entire focus got derailed, it gave some amount of time to Taliban to recover and regroup, and they gathered momentum, and once again they were at their peak in the year 2005. In 2009, Barack Obama, he authorized an increase in US troop presence in Afghanistan with a single objective, and that was to gain a decisive victory over the insurgents. However, in 2011, another announcement was made by Barack Obama in which he said that the forces will be called back to United States of America, and to various NATO bases. And by 2014, Afghani security forces would take charge of all the operations in Afghanistan. However, it could not happen. In 2017, Donald Trump came up with a new plan. He actually laid a new strategy for Afghanistan, and this policy was actually called as policy was principle realism, and there were two important pillars which were associated with this policy. Number one was the military involvement. They said there will be military involvement of the US forces only and only in counter-terrorist operations and training the Afghan forces. There was another pillar which was the political involvement, in which Donald Trump clearly said that he wants a political resettlement with Taliban. So this was something about what has happened so far in the past. Now, the USA-Taliban peace deal, it was signed in February 2020 with the USA and Talibani insurgents as the parties. The entire objective of this peace deal was to end the 18-year-old war in Afghanistan. Now, the deal was signed in Doha, capital of Qatar, and thus it was termed as the Doha Agreement. The key elements of the detail are: number one, agreement set out a course for the next 14 months. That means this entire agreement will last for next 14 months, starting from February 2020. Okay, and during this entire period, there shall be a ceasefire between the Afghani government, or you can say the Afghani troops, and Taliban. Also, the timeline for the withdrawal of all the foreign forces from Afghanistan will be carried out provided Taliban adheres to their ceasefire. Now, it has been said here that this duration of 14 months, this will be the entire time when all the forces, the NATO forces, or you can say the US troops who are present in Afghanistan. Now, during this entire timeline of 14 months, unless Taliban does something against the ceasefire, all these forces will leave Afghanistan. And there is also one very important provision which was made in this deal, and that was US will definitely facilitate an intra-Afghan dialogue. That means between the government, or you can say between the representatives of the government of Afghanistan and the Talibani insurgents. Now, the participants of this dialogue will actually discuss how a permanent and a comprehensive ceasefire, along with agreement over future political roadmap of Afghanistan. The idea is very clear. During these intra-Afghan dialogues, focus will be on number one, to initiate a permanent ceasefire, and also what exactly will be the political roadmap for Afghanistan, because both Taliban as well as the present government, they will work together in order to come to an agreement. Taliban demanded release of 5,000 fighters from Afghan jails. However, Taliban also, before the talks got started, after Afghanistan and Taliban, they signed a deal, Taliban came up with a request and they said that they want their 5,000 fighters who are right now in the Afghan ruled jails, they want them to be out. Now, how exactly this peace deal is gonna work? What exactly will be the consequences? So we'll just be comparing a couple of things here. Taliban, who has the ultimate goal of imposing Sharia in their respective regions. Taliban has a very simple idea, very simple goal, that they want to impose Sharia in all the regions they control. And this actually is in conflict with that of what the people of Afghanistan want. Afghanistan has its own constitution and people want to be governed as per the constitution. This will make any peace deal that they would have unsustainable. The Taliban will hardly share power with Afghan government. Now, it is to be noted that Afghanistan has got its own constitution and people there, they want to be governed only and only by as per the constitution. However, the problem lies here is the Taliban will hardly share any problem in its controlled region with the Afghanistani government. Thus, it is quite possible that even after the peace deal, country might come back to civil war situation again, because once the NATO forces, US troops, they have left, Afghanistan government will be on its own, and these insurgents, they might reapproach in order to gain the same status which they had before the United States and the NATO forces attacked Taliban. So there are quite heavy chances that initially this peace deal might work, but later on the chances are very high that it might fail as well. Now, it is quite important for us that we have to understand what will be India's stand in this. Now, India, like we know, that India has always been supportive of the peace process in Afghanistan, and India has clearly said this thing many times that it wants a government in Afghanistan which is Afghan owned, led by an Afghani and Afghan controlled. They do not want any kind of outside power which is actually doing some kind of ruling in Afghanistan. Now, the participation of the Afghanistan's government delegation during the Doha agreement as well as the upcoming intra-Afghan peace negotiation would be following the path desired by India. Now, it says that India, the path what India has always thought for Afghanistan, definitely the intra-Afghan peace negotiations, they actually might follow the same path which has always been suggested by India to Afghanistan and Taliban. The deal has reiterated India's commitment to Afghanistan's pursuit of sustainable peace and reconciliation. Thus, India has accepted the Doha Agreement. Now, India has very happily accepted the Doha Agreement, and also our foreign minister was connected to the meeting via video link when the Doha meetings between the leaders was going on. Now, what exactly could be some of the possible issues? Now, we have to look for both the fronts. Now, India is actually expecting that things will be definitely positive for India in the coming time. However, India should be very careful during this entire peace talks. Now, there are several concerns for India. For example, one of the biggest concerns for India is security for India. Now, like we know that presently there is a region in Afghanistan which is controlled by Taliban. But chances are quite high that once the NATO forces and United States troops they leave, Pakistan, who has always supported Taliban, like we can remember the hijack of IC-814. Now we know that that entire operation was carried out by Pakistani terrorists. But the plane was taken to Kandahar, which at that point of time was under the control of Taliban, and Taliban actually played the role of mediator and the entire things happened. So we know that both Pakistan and Taliban share warm feelings for each other. So chances are quite high that once the NATO forces and US leaves, Afghanistan once again might become a terror hub for, or you can say a hub for terrorists there. Second, there would be a benefit for Pakistan here. Now, the important thing it is to be noted that the deal also promises to take off Taliban leader of the UN Security Council sanction list, which could considerably bring down the number of terrorists harbored by Pakistan. Now, it is very clearly said that once the deal is finalized between both the countries, Taliban leaders who are actually present on the UN Security Council sanction list, all those terrorists will be removed from that particular list. And thus it can be said that this removal of these terrorists will actually bring down the number of terrorists which are harbored by Pakistanis. What exactly here during this particular peace deal is how the intra-Afghan dialogue is being sidelined. It is importantly to be seen. The US is committed to clear 5 bases and withdrawal of troops, and it intends to submit to the Taliban-led government. Now, United States of America has said that there are 5 bases and those 5 bases will be given to the Taliban-led government and all the troops from those bases will be removed. Thus, priority to future Taliban-led government may sideline the intra-Afghan dialogue and India's support for the election process for leadership in Afghanistan. It is to be noted that the US is right now in a hurry. They just want to leave Afghanistan. If we talk about the concern of United States with respect to Afghanistan and its people, it can be seen that right now, United States, it's only concerned about themselves. All they want is they just want to leave Afghanistan. So chances are quite high that once US leaves Afghanistan, Taliban might try to control the entire Afghanistan region. And India, which has always been vocal, election process led government, the chances are quite high that this might fail. Another thing, it is a kind of one-sided deal because if you look at this deal is more burdened with Taliban demands. Like Taliban is making each and every demand, and United States of America is actually fulfilling all those. So basically, it cannot be said that it's a kind of peace deal, because every demand which is being made by Taliban, Americans are fulfilling it. So it actually seems like it is not a dialogue, but it's more or less a kind of one-sided deal. Now, like we know that impacts that we could see of the particular peace deal on India, we have seen a couple of impacts. We should also know that there are several interests of India in Afghanistan. India has invested a lot in the infrastructural development of Afghanistan after 2001. Okay, so India has major stakes in the stability of Afghanistan. India has invested considerable resources in Afghanistan's development. Example, the Afghan Parliament, the Zaranj Dilaram Highway, Afghanistan India Friendship Dam, which is also known as Salma Dam, and others. Okay. Also, an increased political and military role for Afghanistan and expansion of its territorial control should be of great concern to India, since Taliban is widely believed to be a protege of Pakistan. We all know that Taliban supports Pakistan and Pakistan supports Taliban. So chances are quite high that it might become very difficult for India to make a proper relationship at that point of time with Afghanistan. Also, Afghanistan is said to be gateway to the Central Asia, and with the withdrawal of US troops could result in the bleeding of the fertile ground for various anti-India terrorist outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Like I also said, that once the troops leave Afghanistan, so chances are quite high that Afghanistan once again will become a hub for terrorists. Here you can see a map, some of the important infrastructural projects which have been financed by India. Okay, you can see here, this particular is the Zaranj Dilaram Highway. Also, you can see 220 volt transmission line to Kabul. Salma Dam here near Herat. Number 4, the Afghani Parliament. Okay, and the Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health. Right. So these are some of the investments which have been made by Indian government in Afghanistan. Now, what exactly is the way ahead? Now, Delhi appears to have accepted that it has to play a role in the emerging Afghanistan. From Abdullah's visit, it is apparent that Kabul also wants more Indian engagement in this process. Now, Kabul understands that India is a friend, and Kabul wants that India should play a very crucial role in the entire dialogue that is taking place. Can Delhi continue to maintain that it will have nothing to do with Pakistan? Now, the biggest problem for India here is Pakistan is the one major factor why Taliban has actually agreed to talk. So Pakistan is the one who had brought Taliban to the table. So the importance of Pakistan in this matter, it cannot be neglected. Now, this is a question. Can Delhi still maintain its opinion that Pakistan doesn't matter at all? At the very least, it would mean an acknowledgement that Pakistan has an equally important role in any regional consensus. So if India enters in this entire process, so automatically it will mean that Pakistan also is a key player in the regional politics, and we got to take Pakistan's consensus as well in order to make any decision with respect to the entire region. Considering the differences in what each country and the two sides in the Afghan talk want as outcomes of the process in Doha, this is Delhi's difficult dilemma to solve. Now, it is absolutely over Delhi how carefully Delhi decides and chooses to take its step during this entire process. So students, this was with today's editorial. Now, today's question. Now, a mains based question can be framed from the given editorial. It could be: the US Taliban deal is a good step, but the road ahead would not be easy. Achieving lasting peace in Afghanistan will require patience and compromising among all parties. discuss. So this was with the today's editorial. I hope you liked the video. Thank you very much.